everyone, and welcome. My name is Doña, aka Doña the Light. Welcome to another conversation, another daily mental health chat. If you're catching this live stream on Twitch, thank you for being here. Please feel free to contribute in the chat by dropping your thoughts, opinions, agreements, disagreements, questions, etc. If you're catching this replay on YouTube, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please check out my merch. The link will be in the description of the video. This is one of the tops that I have available. Choose you before life starts lifing. Available in my shop. It's a long sleeve. It's a crop top. I can't get up any farther. But anyways, it's a crop top. And the material is glorious. Anyway, the link to my shop will be in the description. Raylene's here and Spuddy's here. Also, if you're catching this replay on YouTube, please know that this is going to essentially play like a podcast episode. So you don't really have to watch it. You really just have to listen to it. So pop me on in the background and just listen in. You know, if you have any aha moments or anything that really resonates with you, please drop them in the comments. Leave me a thumbs up, like, and again, please subscribe. Good morning, Spudwitch. Good morning, Raylene. Today we're going to be discussing how to choose and find your tribe. I've heard from... Is that any better?
A little bit. It doesn't hurt.
Well, if it does, you're more important than work. I said if it does start hurting, you're more important than work. Okay. Alright, love you. I hear it a lot from women, especially black women, that we humans are supposed to exist in interdependence, right? We're supposed to have a community in which we can rely on people to be there for us and support us in a multitude of different ways, right? From, the trifecta, like Issa was mentioning this weekend, that we have spiritual, mental, and physical needs, and ideally we would have someone either who can fill all those needs, or we would have, different tribe members for each need. Raylene says, I love my mug. I don't have anything outside of my brain or phone reminding me to choose myself first. Oh, I love that. Actually, that reminds me I should just write a review. Yes, Boo Boo Bear, please write a review. I would love that. Thank you. But when it comes to finding a tribe, I think it's also really important for us to remember. Good morning, Fergie. Welcome in, beloved. When it comes to us finding a tribe, I think it's really important to remember that we also get to choose our tribe members. Finding a tribe sometimes feels like connecting with people who have similar interests, right? Connecting with people who also like to work out, who also like to do yoga, who also like to read poems, who also like to read books, who also like to watch anime or play video games or whatever. That often feels like that's how we find our tribe. But in the midst of those people and those communities, and I'm totally just listing the things that I like to do, but people that like to go to church or whatever it is that you like to do, whatever activities that you find yourself engaging in regularly, or perhaps want to really enjoy but want to engage in more, like maybe people who like to hike, but perhaps you haven't done more hiking because you don't have people to hike with. I feel like hiking is definitely a really great community activity, and I know that you can definitely hike on your own, but hiking with friends definitely sounds better. But remember that in addition to finding your tribe, you get to choose, you get to specially select who actually gets to engage and interact with you on a regular basis. For example, we have a Discord. I'm a part of a Discord called Black Mafia that is completely comprised of black people and people of color who play video games, specifically World of Warcraft, but there's definitely some people in there that play other games too. But I believe that our Discord is primarily based on World of Warcraft because the creator wanted to connect more black WoW players, and so she created the Discord. And yeah, so anytime like me or Spuddy or Fergie or Jones are on Twitch and we see a black gamer, typically we'll reach out to them and say, hey, you should join our Discord, right? But within that Discord, every single person in there isn't a part of my tribe. They could potentially be a part of my tribe because the Discord creates a decently safe space for us all to like exist and converse, but I get to choose who in there I actually want to be in my tribe, right? And the great thing about Twitch and what it's kind of allowed myself and a lot of other people to do is to get um, get to know people, right? Just to get to know people and their energy and who they are. Raylene says, ooh, literally in the process of choosing my tribe. Can you see my thoughts? Honestly, Raylene, I might be able to. Raylene and I are birthday sisters, or birthday twins, so it's possible. It's definitely possible. Because I woke up this morning not knowing what to talk about, and typically my process is to hop on the hop on the Therapy for Black Girls blog, and I'll just like look at the topics. But then I thought about it, like, well, what did I do this weekend? I was very intentional about spending time with my sister cousin this weekend. And I call her my sister cousin because we are 2 years apart. So, and I have a sister, but she's my half sister. Like, we have the same dad. But she lives in like a whole other state. And we didn't really grow up together because she was like 8 years older than me. So we really didn't grow up together. But anywho, I was talking to my sister cousin, Hannah. She's been on the stream before and she'll be on again. We have a really great conversation to have with y'all. But I was talking to her this past week about my birthday, and she was like, what are you going to do? And I said, I don't know. Like, my birthday literally just snuck up on me. So many things have been happening over the past 2 months. I just wasn't even aware that my birthday was about to happen. And she says, well, whatever you do, you know, you should make sure that it's something that you enjoy, even if it's nothing, like even if you're just like taking a day off, and et cetera, et cetera. No way! Oh my God, same. I have a half-sister who's 8 years older. Raylene. For real? We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this. But, that's crazy. Like, what are the odds? Right, what are the odds? So, you know, she's just encouraging me and telling me whatever you want to do on your birthday, you know, it's your day, you should just do whatever. My birthday definitely ended up being kind of all over the place. But on Friday or so, I thought, you know, what I really want to do is I want to spend time with Hannah. And so I reached out to her and I said, hey, babe, can I come to your house on Sunday? And she's like, yeah, of course, absolutely, no problem. So we made a plan for me and the baby boy to go to her house. My husband stayed home. My son was with his grandma and his dad. And so, you know, it was just me and the baby. So we drove down to go hang out with her. And it was wonderful. Like, we went out and had brunch together, just had this great conversation about this project that she's going to be putting together around mental health and how to make it more accessible. And it was wonderful. And I realized that a few weeks back, my aunt, my cousin's mom, Hannah's mom, had reached out to me. We're having a conversation. And then I was like, oh, I should talk to Hannah. Like, I should reach out to Hannah. And so I reached out to her and remembered that she had recently completed her degree in psychology. And I thought, oh my goodness, it'd be so amazing for her to be on the stream because, you know, mental health, Black woman, bam, you know? And we're having this conversation, and for the well, not the first time, but I finally felt like I was actually getting to know my cousin as the person that she is. You know, instead of just being like, you know, we connect when we have family meetings, family celebrations, or family outings, or whatever. We connect, and I love her, and she's wonderful. But I recognized that I hadn't really like gotten to know her as a person because ever since we got older and our families moved farther apart, we hadn't been spending as much actual time together, like where we were choosing to spend time together. It was really just us coming together for family events. And after I asked her if she wanted to be on my stream, we had this conversation, and I'm like, oh my goodness, my cousin is magnificent. Like, I knew that she was, but like I said, I hadn't really gotten to know her as a person. And then that just reminded me, you know, I get to make the choice to choose for her to be a part of my tribe. Like, I get to choose for her to be a part of my support system. I get to choose for her to be a person that I trust and that I want to connect with. And I get to let her know that I want to be the same for her. You know what I mean? Essentially, it's almost like we're dating right now. Like, we're courting each other. Like, we're getting to know each other, our likes and dislikes, like on a more intimate level, not just the surface relationship that we have with a lot of our cousins just because we're blood related and we see them a couple times a year. You know, like we're making very intentional choices to converse with each other and ask each other questions and blah, 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 blah. Like yesterday, we had a conversation about the relationship I was in that resulted in domestic violence. She had no idea, you know, and to me, because it already happened, I'm thinking like, yeah, everybody knows. Her and I had never spoken about it. So she was in awe, of course, that it even happened in the first place, and she's asking me questions and we're talking through it and yada yada yada. And so, you know, it was just really, really beautiful to see. But I would have never started establishing that relationship with my sister cousin if I hadn't just reached out and just, you know, it started with a phone call. You know, it started with a phone call, and then I made the decision to just be open, you know, and have this conversation. I feel that sometimes when it comes to family members, we can still be kind of guarded because we don't really know them that well, honestly. And, yeah. So Raylene says, it's really amazing when there's some wonderful person there for you who's always been there, right under your nose. Exactly. Getting to know that person and then being your people feels incredible. It really, really has. Gooby-Doo, welcome in. Thank you for stopping by. Of course, all my whatchamacallits are going off. Gooby-Doo asks, you ever had people in your tribe you feel like you might cut off but really hope they would evolve? Yes. And Raylene says yes too. Absolutely, Gooby-Doo. I absolutely have. There have been people in my tribe who I've had in my tribe because I've known them for so long. You know, I've known them for so long, and typically those people are the ones who are a part of like my regular day or my regular week. Like I reach out to them often, I speak to them often, and I can see and feel myself growing, right? I'm going through my healing journey. I am taking accountability for my actions, my behaviors, my words. I am, you know, growing and glowing and going through life. And I recognize that every individual, I'm like doing a lot with my hands. I recognize that every individual grows and evolves at their own pace. But a lot of times, I mean, it happens where we literally outgrow people. And if they're a part of our, you know, chosen tribe and like our intimate connections, it can really hurt to outgrow something because you want to do everything in your power to kind of pull them up with you. You know, like you're inviting them to, you know, meditation sessions, and you're inviting them to journal with you, and you're inviting them to, you know, connect with a therapist or a life coach, and you're doing all of these things to kind of encourage their growth journey. But then you have to remind yourself the toughest part of having relationships with other people is the fact that they have this thing called free will. You know, they have this thing called free will, and it is up to them to take charge and take responsibility to initiate the growth and evolution of their own lives. It's up to them to recognize the areas in which they are causing themselves to suffer and make things really difficult on themselves and do something different, right? Like choose to do something different. The beautiful part is if and when they choose, you're there to catch them, right? Because another conversation that we were having on the stream was how difficult and sometimes even lonely and isolating it can be to go through your healing journey because shit's hard. Like, coming to realize that you are responsible for your own emotions. You are responsible for the way that you treat people. You're not responsible for the way that people treat you, but just coming to this realization that you are in control and you have this certain amount of power and that you are the only person who can change your reality and your life is really daunting. Not only that, but coming into awareness of different emotions and feeling them more and things like that, that's overwhelming. So to go through that alone, is even more overwhelming. But to go through it knowing that you have a tribe behind you, you know, you have that safety net and you have that net of comfort of people who you know have your back. And it doesn't have to be, you know, I feel often people, I thought I heard the baby. People often visualize a tribe as like 10 or 12 people. And it could be 10 or 12 people, but that would be exhausting. Because we got to remember that relationships, regardless of the type of relationship, platonic, romantic, familial, whatever, relationships are work. And I honestly cannot imagine actively working 10 relationships regularly. Like, yeah, Raylene says yes, it's usually a carefully selected few, exactly, like a handful. But people have to recognize, and I want people to understand that that's okay. You know, having a carefully selected few people to be in your tribe or a part of your tribe or your whole tribe, excuse me, is okay. It doesn't make you lacking. It doesn't make you anything, you know, because you only have a carefully selected, you know, handful of people as those in your tribe. Because again, relationships are work. And to Scooby-Doo's question, or Doobie-Doo, Gooby-Doo, to Gooby-Doo's question, sometimes that's a part of outgrowing a person or two in your tribe, is they begin to not value and put in the same amount of energy or effort towards the work that is required for the relationship between the two of you. And again, it can be really sad, it can be really frustrating, it can be really overwhelming to kind of lose someone in your tribe. But you have to recognize that, you know, on this journey of life, there are going to be people who are in our lives for a reason, and there are going to be people who are in our lives just for a season. You know, sometimes people are in our lives for a reason, and the reason is to be in our tribe. And those people are typically in our lives for a while. People who are in our lives for a season typically are there to teach us something. You know, they're there to uncover something about ourselves, and kind of illustrate something. Gooby-Doo says, lately it's been feeling like I don't have friends, but more so acquaintances. I feel you, Gooby. I feel you 100%. And I've gone through that so many times in my life where it's kind of hurtful to think like these people don't really know me. They don't really care for me. They're just, sometimes it's just that they're there all the time. You know, like they're there at your house all the time, or they're, you know, that you work together. So you're in each other's space all the time. But they're not really, they haven't actually put work into the relationship between the two of you. There's no real genuine connection. You can't share intimate conversations with that person. And so if I were, you know, teaching or instructing or sharing with people the steps that I took to find my tribe, the very first thing is to decide to have really transparent conversations with people. Again, just like you're dating. Raylene says it's really, really difficult to have real deep friends. And Gooby-Doo says, I can't remember the last time I got a call asking me how I felt. And they don't. Be ready to tell you everything about what they got going on, exactly, but they don't ask how you were doing. So Gooby, please tell me. I would love to know, genuinely and sincerely. How are you feeling today? How's your spirit feeling? Have you eaten? Because I don't know where you are in the world, but have you eaten yet today? Are you hydrated? How does your body feel? Like, you tell me. If you feel safe to do so in the chat, I'm here for you. Facts. Maybe I just have an unrealistic expectation. No, you don't have an unrealistic expectation. You don't. You absolutely don't. What you want and what you need is what you want and what you need. And we need other people. I've mentioned it before. We are interdependent beings. I see Jones in the chat, but I'm waiting for him to pop up. You definitely don't have unrealistic expectations. We are interdependent beings, and we need communities to not just survive, but to thrive, to be our best selves. We need communities. And like Raylene said, it's typically just a selected few, but we need people to rally around us. You know, like those acquaintances are great for like big celebrations if you feel like you just need to fill a room. But for those times in which we really need someone to like check in on us, you know, we need those select few people, you know, like me, Jones, Spuddy, and my husband have a group chat. And in that group chat, we regularly check in on each other. You know, we share stuff that's going on with us. We check in on each other. We have conversations, etc., etc. But that's like our safe space to exist and to, you know, unload if we're having something that we need to unload. And a lot of the times it's just like to get it out, you know, and of course we'll have conversations like, hey, you know, are you looking for advice or you just want to be heard? We'll hop on video chats, the four of us, and just have conversations and check in with each other. But I connected with, it's so funny, I met all of them online. I found my husband on Facebook dating, and we connected with Jones and Spudwitch on Twitch. Like, we found them on Twitch, and then they were both in the Black Mafia Discord. And then, yeah, slowly but surely, like, we just ended up building relationships with each other. And, you know, that's what I mean as far as, you know, it's almost like tier levels when it comes to your tribe. Like, first you gotta put yourself out there. And it doesn't necessarily mean, you know, on the internet streets, but being transparent and being yourself on these internet streets is probably the best way to, Spuddy said, yes, best day ever. Being transparent in all of your interactions is probably the best way to genuinely find your tribe. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen immediately. But, yeah. Gooby says, I'm doing good. I can't complain. I'm doing some design work while we talk on Twitch. Oh, I came from Black Mafia link you posted. So, oh, awesome. Gooby-Doo. Well, welcome in. Sweet. Well, if you haven't already followed me, follow me. Love you. Raylene says, I've just recently realized that people need people. Yes, like seriously. Also because being introverted on media is seen as relatable. Exactly. To be on your own and not be social. So being happy with people felt almost wrong, as I felt then I don't have to be the introvert label anymore. Unlearning that now, and I definitely need people. Absolutely. And thank you for following, Gooby. I asked you to follow and then the noise scared me. I appreciate you, Gooby. Welcome to the safe space. I do these streams every single day. Whether it's me or me with a guest, I'll be here. I gotta count my days because I've been doing this daily for over a month and I'm so proud of myself. Anywho, like going on 2 months. We're rolling. But being transparent on social media is huge. I feel like Raylene was saying, you know, kind of unlearning the labels that people have placed on you. Like, oh, well, you don't like to be in a lot of social interactions with people. Like, you know, going to a roller rink on a busy Friday would be really overwhelming because there's so many people. But maybe going there on like a Tuesday afternoon would be okay, you know, because you like to roller skate and you want to roller skate, but just being around so many people would just be overwhelming, and that's okay. Like, that's all right, you know. But yeah, having transparent interactions. I keep going back to dating, but I feel like we really do have to like date and court people as we're getting to know them to be a part of our tribe. But something that I began doing, you know, here on Twitch, on my social medias, is just being transparent and just really allowing myself to be myself. And sometimes that's what's preventing us from finding our tribe, is that we still have a mask on. You know, like if we are on the autism spectrum and we are constantly masking, feeling safe enough within ourselves to unmask is going to attract people to us. People who can relate to us, like Raylene mentioned, people who see themselves in us. That's typically how we find our tribe, is people who see themselves in us. Whether it's something that we do, like playing video games, or being a black person who plays video games, or being a black person who plays a specific video game, whatever. That's what's going to attract people to us. But we really have to, first and foremost, get really safe and comfortable in just being ourselves. Like, on the 12-hour stream, it was rough, right? My 12-hour stream was rough. It was just long. It was a great stream, but it was really long. But, like, I was singing the whole time. I was going from game to game because I was getting bored. I tried to play Sudoku, and then the online Sudoku was like, you're trash. You made 3 mistakes. You can't play this anymore. I was like, my feelings are hurt. But I was just myself the entire time. Like, I wasn't trying to be anybody else. I wasn't trying to do something specifically to get a certain number of views. Like, I was just asking for people to give me what I wanted, right? Like, I was like, hey, if you're here, give some subs, follow my channel, or follow my stream, subscribe to my YouTube channel, buy some merch. Like, I was let me drop that in the chat real quick. You want to buy some merch? Anyways, once more, real quick, here's my shirt. Choose you before life starts lifing. It's a long sleeve crop top. Those are my pants. You can see the crop topness. Y'all should be happy I'm wearing a bra for y'all. This doesn't happen often. Raylene says, how do you pick whether someone is a person you will try to make a part of your tribe? Do you have a list of green flags you're trying to hit, kind of like dating, or do you let it happen naturally? That's a wonderful question, Raylene. Hmm. I believe that unconsciously or subconsciously, unconsciously, subconsciously, I have green flags. For me, one of the biggest green flags is that someone checks in on me and asks me how I'm doing without me initiating. Because I've always been seen and interpreted as the strong friend or the strong person, the person who has everything together, yada, 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 the person who, everyone just assumes is just good all the time. So a green flag for me, which came from Spuddy and came from Jones, was someone just randomly saying, hey, how are you doing? That was a green flag for me. But I also recognize that, again, I had to put myself out there in order to have the opportunity to connect with these kinds of people. You know what I mean? Like, if I were to remain sheltered and not reach out and not connect with people and not put myself out there, I would never have been able to connect with them, like, ever, you know? But yeah, that's a huge green flag for me, is someone reaching out and not just asking, not just saying the words, but genuinely asking the question. Like, saying the words is like you going to Starbucks and ordering something and you're like, you're speaking to the person who's taking your order and you're like, hey, how are you? And they're like, yeah, I'm great. You're just saying the words. You're not actually asking the question. But for someone to actually ask the question genuinely and want a response, and something that I do, Raylene says, yeah, you can tell when someone is really asking exactly. Because sometimes they follow up with, more questions to kind of dig in, or they may say, how are you really doing? Like, how are you really doing? Like, the way Goopy Doo answered was pretty surface, can't complain, working on some design, but it's like, but how are you really doing? Like, for me right now, like, my chest is tight because I slept on my side. I need to do some more exercises because my legs are still sore. Mentally, I feel good. I feel grounded. I feel even. Grounded, even, I don't know, something like that. Physically, I feel stiff. I feel very, very physically stiff. Spiritually, I feel my spiritual energy is very high because I am basically still on the high of, like, hanging out with my sister cousin yesterday, which was just so fun. Like, we were cooking together, we were talking to the baby. It was great. It was phenomenal. So, yeah, I think Issa brought up a really great point around the trifecta of the mental, spiritual, and physical aspects of ourselves. And I believe that we should, right, I am. I'm so tight. Spuddy said, I was just about to say, you look a little tense. Yes. My shoulders are tight. And the other day, I did jumping jacks, and oh my goodness, those were like life. Those jumping jacks were life. Because like, how often throughout the day do we bring our hands overhead? Like, we just don't do it. And so, to do jumping jacks, I think I only did like 40, and the purpose was just to warm up my body because I wanted to do some exercises. But I knew that I needed to do jumping jacks because, yeah, I needed to get my hands up there. It was a thing. But, yeah, checking in on your friends, like, spiritually, mentally, and physically, I believe is a really great way to ask, how are you feeling? Like, how are you feeling physically? Because then it reminds people to get back into their bodies. A lot of times we are not physically in our bodies. We are so in our heads and so in our minds that we're not in our bodies. And we may be doing something we don't even recognize. We may be like twitching or fiddling with our hair or whatever. We don't even recognize that we're doing it because we're not in our body. We're in our heads. Yeah, see, Raylene says, I always forget about my physical body. Your physical body needs you, Raylene. It needs you. But yeah, when it comes to finding your tribe, it may be you just seeking people with similar interests, similar ideas, similar whatever. And sometimes you have to kind of do a little digging, which is okay. It's totally okay. It's okay for you to have to kind of search a little bit. Sometimes your tribe, I wasn't searching. Yamazonia found me on Twitch and was like, hey, we have this Discord. And I was like, oh, sweet, cool. And then she invited me to be a part of it. And then, naturally being a part of the Discord, I started watching the streams of the people that were in there. And I remember Spuddy's streams, and what attracted me to Spuddy's streams was she wasn't on camera, it was just her voice. And she would play games like Animal Crossing. And oh my goodness, the vibes were literally the coziest. Like, you could just go in there and just chill. She always had like some super dope R&B playing in the background. Like, it was just such a comfortable and immaculate, right? Like, just chef's kiss, literally. The vibes were amazing, and they still are. They absolutely still are. Now we just get to see her beautiful face. That's the difference. But yeah, so now her vibes are still super cozy, but she be going to town, building these amazing creations on Sims, or like what's it called? Like, I was gonna say living out, but kind of like going through the life of some of the Sims that she creates. But that's what attracted me to Spuddy. It was just like, I love being here. Another thing, honestly, especially being on Twitch, which I don't know if I'm like a baby for this, but if I go onto someone's Twitch stream and they have like 70 viewers, I might not go in there. I'm not gonna lie. I might not go in there because I want to be acknowledged in the chat. I do. I want to say hi and for someone to say hi back to me. Like, that's just me. I will not go in there if you have like 50, 60, 70 viewers. Like, I just won't. So, most of the time, I won't. Sometimes, if I hop in somewhere and I say something and they acknowledge me, I'm like, oh, for sure. You know, especially if it's like, if it's black people and if they're talking about something that I want to talk about. Right, I want to talk, exactly. But to, right, I'm the saying, I want to mean something. Exactly, I want to mean something. So, but it helps because then I get to go into like smaller streamers. You know, like, I've been streaming pretty consistently for a while. I mean, a month. But I don't think my viewers have ever gotten past like 12, and I'm totally okay with that. Like, I am not here on Twitch for the views because I deeply believe and I know for a fact that the people who need to find me will find me. They will. They will absolutely find me. They will come to this safe space and we'll have a conversation and we'll just chill and we'll love up on them and we'll give them all the stuff. Yeah, Spudbush says I won't talk on the big streamers chat. But in finding smaller streamers, you know, like I said, you get to have those intimate conversations. You get to ask those questions. You get to be a part of it. I forgot where I was going with that. I was going to say sneaking. I mean, I've definitely hopped on Twitch sometimes, a few times, and just kind of went through the little, you know, the little area that says, like, you know, this stream is recommended for you or whatever. Or I'll go through, like, the black tag, or I'll go through the mental health tag, or go through the woman tab or African American tag or whatever and kind of find some people. Typically, I look for people talking. But I've definitely found people who just randomly on Twitch that I've connected with, like, oh, this is a pretty good conversation. Raylene said, also, I feel so blessed to find you because it was right when I needed it. Oh, Raylene. Thank you, beloved. We needed each other. We did. We needed each other. Like, my whole purpose of all of this is just to connect with people who I can help. You know, like, that's my whole purpose, is connecting with people who I can help. Whether I help them just by them popping in the chat and having a question, or I help them by becoming their life coach. Like, I just am here to actively, tangibly help people, you know? But in finding or coming across, you know, people that, right, nothing is a coincidence. Absolutely. Everything happens exactly how it's supposed to. And coming across people that you do recognize have the same or similar interests to you, you know, now you get to choose, because there are legitimately people who I follow who I went into the chat, had great conversations, but just didn't feel, you know, like the full connection wasn't there. And a lot of times, again, it comes from following people. Like, I'll be following Doobie-Doo because they came in the chat and had a conversation, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have any problem with following them. And then if they stream, you know, pop it in their streams and having conversations. Fergie has returned. Welcome in, Miss Fergie. Same thing for Raylene. Raylene doesn't stream, but if Raylene did stream, I'd be in her stream, hopping around, talking, you know what I mean? Like, that mutual support. And that's how it started with Spuddy and Jones. you know? Go ahead, Boo Bear, get that food. It started off, us just being in their chats, and then they followed us, or me. They followed Grover too, but his stream schedule is kind of all over the place. He has to, like, be in the mood to stream. But yeah, and then we started, going back and forth and having some sort of mutual support, mutual connection, mutual conversations. Fergie says, I have returned my loves. The baby has been fed. Beautiful. Beautiful, Fergie. But, like, if I come into someone's chat on Twitch and whatever I contribute to the chat, like, if they don't find valuable and they're not down to follow me, then that's okay. But a certain part of me is like, well, if you don't follow me, because I feel like that's the spark of something that could be a real friendship. In addition, the great thing about Twitch, or another great thing about Twitch, is, having the opportunity to join people's discords, where that's a whole big old community of individuals that could potentially be in your tribe. You found the Twitch streamer, now you found their Discord, and now you get to interact in that Discord and see if there's, if you could find someone who could potentially be in your tribe. And then if you found someone, then you get to make the choice to, invite them into your tribe and to connect with them. And I think another really good part of it, similar to what Gooby Doo was mentioning, is that, you might outgrow and you might evolve past people who are in your tribe, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that you don't love that person, but, like, if Spuddy is on her growth journey and I'm still, being super passive aggressive all the time, like choosing to be passive aggressive even though I know better, I make conversations all about me, you know what I mean? It's super self-centered in that way, where, she's maybe bringing concern to the table, to the conversation, and I somehow flip it and make it about myself. Like, maybe I didn't do that before, but maybe there's instances in which I do that now. And I think it's important to call that tribe member out and say, hey, you've been doing this lately. Welcome back, Raylene. You've been doing this lately, and it's been making me feel unheard. Like, if that was something that I was doing to Spuddy or around Spuddy, I would hope that she would call me out and say, hey, as of the past couple days or as of the past week, I brought a few concerns to the group chat, and each time you've turned it around and made it about yourself, and it makes me feel unheard and less safe to share my concerns in this space, And then I could respond one or two ways. I could respond in, oh my goodness, I had no idea that I was doing that. I appreciate you bringing that to my attention, and I apologize, and I'll make sure that it doesn't happen again. Like, now I'm in awareness of what I was doing, and I'll make sure that I don't do it again. And remember, an apology is absolutely nothing without changed behavior. It's just words without changed behavior. Behavior has to change. It has to change. But if I respond the other way, or the other way I could respond, is to say, no, that's not what I've been doing. I think you might be, reading into it too much. I think you might be over exaggerating. I think you might be being too dramatic. Whatever. I could ignore the concerns that she's bringing and, just move in a way that illustrates that how she's feeling doesn't matter to me, And if I do that, then potentially it's time to remove me from the tribe, have another conversation, or maybe share it with another tribe member and say, hey, could you talk to Doña about this, because I shared it with her this way and she doesn't really seem to be grasping it. Maybe we can all talk about it together. The receipts are there because we have a group chat, so here's, December 29th, Spudbridge brought a concern to the chat, and then, December 30th, this was Doña's response. So, the receipts are there. Let's talk about it. Let's have an open conversation about, how this is making Spuddy feel. Me acknowledging my role in making her feel that way, and basically removing a part of the safety out of this safe space, because now she doesn't feel safe enough to bring her concerns to the group, because she's concerned that they won't be acknowledged. They're just going to be pushed to the side, and that does not feel good at all. You know, thank you, Spuddy, for feeding Symphony the dragon. Well, whatever she is. She's some sort of creature. I think I forgot what she's called, like a Venza or something like that. No, not a Venza, that's a car. Something like that, I forgot. Anywho, even if we find people that we have common interests with, we still get to choose who's in our tribe. You know, and it's also okay if someone considers you a part of their tribe, but you don't consider them a part of yours. You know, there might be people who can reach out to you and rely on you when they need you, you know, every month or every couple of weeks. But perhaps their lack of showing up for you in your life means that they're not a part of your chosen tribe. You know, and that's okay. Just because someone knows that they can come to you and confide in you doesn't mean that you, oh my goodness, Symphony's being bred, doesn't mean that you can come to them and confide in them. Let's look at the dragon. I'm doing good. My body is a little achy, but I'm determined to have a great day. I feel it, Spuddy. Ooh, she green. I feel it. I feel that highlighter green. I feel it. I feel it. But yeah, y'all. Any other questions? Anybody have any other questions about choosing your tribe, finding your tribe, connecting with your tribe? That's a great example, saying they should be able to bring their concerns to you. Thank you. Yeah, I definitely believe that that's a huge part of it. Being able to bring their concerns to you. And again, it really comes from transparency. Like, if I lack the emotional intelligence to empathize with Spuddy and like address her concerns, I could just say that. Like, Spuddy, I hear you, but I honestly have no idea what to say. Like, I don't know what would be comforting to you in this moment, but I could say that, you know? Oftentimes, instead of just saying that or typing that or whatever, we respond with something that we think is going to help, and sometimes it doesn't, you know? But instead, I could just say that, like, hey, I hear your concern. Like, I read your message, and I honestly have no idea. Thought that was a baby. How to respond. I don't know what I could say right now to comfort you. And then Spidey could totally respond like, hey, thank you for that. Actually, you know, this is what would be comforting for me to hear. But again, Spidey says, how do we put ourselves out there? I believe, I mean, for me, it's really just been, for me, it's just been showing up as my authentic self. But for others, it might be kind of doing a little bit of searching, like browsing social media, you know, under different hashtags, browsing Twitch under different tags, and just kind of like feeling people out and catching the vibe. Like, I'm not the no new friends type, but I can be shy sometimes. It's okay. It's absolutely okay. Raylene says, I have another question, which was like, how would you feel, what would you do if there was someone you knew who has the same interests as you, same vibe, same humor, but you just can't get close enough to make them a part of your tribe? Like, imagine if your cousin didn't want to deepen the relationship. Oh, that's a really good question. Well, it would be tough, but at the end of the day, you know, that person has the choice in the matter too. You know, just because I want to choose someone to make them a part of my tribe doesn't necessarily mean that they want to have that relationship with me. And I would have to kind of just take the L and move on. I mean, it would hurt, you know, especially after the conversations that we've had and the connections that I thought we were building. I could also be very direct with that person, you know. Again, just like dating, I could be very direct with that person and say, hey, you know, the past couple times that we've hung out, I've really, really enjoyed our time together. You know, would it be okay if I connect with you more often, like daily or every day? Would you be okay if I confided in you, you know, with some of the things that are on my heart, on my spirit sometimes? You know, would you be okay if I came to you and asked you for advice? And then the other side of it, of course, is, are you okay with coming to me for advice? Are you okay, or do you feel safe confiding in me when you have concerns or, you know, something's on your heart or your spirit? Do you feel okay with connecting with me on a regular basis. And then also kind of finding out what regular is, because for me, regular is daily or every other day. For someone else, but like for my best friend Sabrina, we speak like weekly. We don't speak daily or every day. We speak about weekly. But both of us are also very active on social media, so like we kind of can keep tabs on each other a little bit that way. But we definitely don't speak every day at all. We used to. At one point, we were talking every day. Like we were sending voice messages, texting each other, all that stuff. But it's just because we were kind of like, we were in a very active part of our healing journeys, and we needed that daily interaction. Now we're in a little bit more of a stable part, and there's still times where we have like little mini crises where we come to each other like, oh my goodness, what is happening? And we might talk every day for like a week or so, but then we kind of taper back down. So, but yeah, I think, I mean, for me, it feels like dating, and I feel like we have to date more. Like we have to date more friends. We have to, because I think that's the one of the biggest struggles is that people feel like you're supposed to be able to just connect with people organically when it comes to platonic relationships. Like no one talks about dating friends. No one talks about that, but it really has to happen. Like you have to date people. And sometimes we start, I always hold friends to the same level as dating. Exactly. Sometimes we start dating people like when we start working together. We start dating people and we're like, oh yeah, I like this person, blah, blah, blah. And then usually the first step is like, let's see how we can show outside of work. Because inside of work or at work, you always have that common thing. Work. You can always talk about work. You can always laugh about work. Blah, 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 work. But I would challenge you to hang out with that person outside of work and try not, excuse me, challenge them to not talk about work and see how that conversation goes, see how that relationship goes. If it flops, then that's okay. You still have a work friend. But if it thrives, then hey, thank you for the bless you. And now you have another person that you can potentially build with. Because it's the same values and the same amount of effort into the relationship exactly. So yeah, put yourself out there by browsing social media. I mean, that's exactly what it's for. YouTube is wonderful because you get to kind of really get people's vibes, from the longer videos that they post. Thank you for the bless you, Spuddy. And take your time. Like, just take your time. Like, if browsing YouTube is something that you already do, then, hop on and be a little bit more intentional with your searching. If scrolling through TikTok is something you already do, then hop on and be a little bit more intentional with your scrolling. Find a hashtag or something that interests you and kind of go through and see, like it might even be something like crocheting. There might be someone, like maybe you love crocheting and you come across someone who also crochets and you're just listening to the way that they describe, how to do it or whatever. And you're like, wow, this person seems really kind and really genuine. Let me leave a comment and tell them that. And then they respond to your comment, and then you go back and forth, and then you slide in DMs, and you having conversations, and blah, 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 blah. But I think like I said, all of us are on some sort of social media. I believe we just need to put a little bit more intention behind it, because that's the purpose of social media, is to be social. And I believe that, it can really connect us with people. Like, there was a lady who was in one of my mom groups, or is in one of my mom groups, and she asked a question, and I said, hey, is it okay if I refer you some resources for a therapist? She's like, yeah, that'd be great. And then the website asked for the person's city, so I asked her for the city, and she lives like 40 miles from me. Like, what are the odds? This group has 87,000 members. What are the odds that I would connect with this person who literally lives 40 miles from me? You know what I mean? So, and she has a son, who I think is like 5 or 6. Like, she reminds me, I need to check on her. I'm going to send her a message right now. It's funny because I'm so not used to connecting with people from California. So, like, to connect with someone who's in the same time zone as me is really funny. Hey, beloved. Good morning. Not you always being lucky with people you meet. Not always. I mean, it just so happens that she's close. But we haven't, like, really built a relationship or anything yet. How is your physical body and mental? Yeah. All right, cool. Anywho, yeah, I've definitely not always been lucky. There's been and there's been people. I always connect with people that live across the that exactly like Spuddy, Texas, Jones, Michigan, Raylene, friggin' England. I mean, come on. Fergie is in West Virginia, one of the Virginias, like super far, which is okay. But then I kind of just have to be a little bit more mindful with the time zone. Like sometimes when I text them, especially when it's like late, and I'm like, oh, they might be asleep. But I definitely have a situation in which I met someone and I was completely enamored with this person. And I was like, oh my goodness, we are going to be the best of friends. It's going to be wonderful. We're going to speak every day. Spuddy says, I just take it as a sign that traveling is in my future. I feel that. And I'm super enamored with this person, and I'm like, oh my goodness, we're gonna make the best of friends. We connect, we can support each other, like we're gonna have the best friendship ever. And then slowly but surely I recognize that this person does not show up in relationships like I do. Like I am very consistent in the relationships that mean a lot to me. Like in the relationship with Raylene, Spuddy, Jones, my husband, my best friend Sabrina, my cousin Hannah, I'm very intentional in the way that I show up in those relationships. You know, like very intentional. I make sure I show up. And so I'm working to do the same thing with this person, and they are just not showing up. I mean, like, leaving me, like, I text them and they don't respond for like days, but then are active on other parts of social media. That really frustrates me. Oh my goodness, that frustrates me so much. I cannot even describe how much that frustrates me. Like, I see you on social media, and I even hit you up on social media and you still don't respond. I'm like, dog, like, but then I just have to take it as like, okay, I am not as important to this person as they are to me. And I kind of have to sit with that little heartbreak. Right, that's a snip snip for me, says Raylene. I have to sit with that little heartbreak and come to terms with, okay, you know, this person is not as enamored with me as I am with them. And like all of my friends I'm enamored with, like, I love the fuck out of y'all. Like, point blank period. I am enamored with y'all. Like, everything that you do is amazing. I have like crushes on all of my friends. And I believe that's how it should be. Like, I just feel like we should all have crushes on our friends. Like, our legitimate tribe member friends. I feel like Sabrina, I got a big ass crush on her. Me and Sabrina are tight as shit. But yeah, I just feel like I don't know. So, again, I had to deal with that little heartbreak. And the most frustrating part is, right, crushes on all of them. The most frustrating part is, I don't believe that I could be as transparent with that person as I'm being with y'all. And like going to that person and saying, hey, you know, I really wanted us to have like a really great relationship, but it hurts me, you know, like how little you show up for me. You know, it hurts me, blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't think I could. And a part of me is like, it's not worth it because I have such an amazing tribe already, you know. But again, you know, upon meeting this person, you know, similar to what Gooby said, or Gooby asked earlier, I guess I've just evolved. I mean, and I haven't even known this person that long, but in the short amount of time that I've known them, you know, our levels are just different. And that's okay. You know, it's okay. It doesn't make them a bad person. It just means that they don't have the capacity to show up for me the way that I want them to, or I need them to have a legitimate friendship. And that's okay. You know, like, I have a crush on y'all too. Y'all give me, how can I be better flutterflies? Oh, Spuddy. I love Spuddy. Spuddy's the best. She's so cute. Anyways, yeah, I just have to come to terms with the fact that they can't show up for me, and that's okay. Like, I can't force anybody to show up for me. But it's really hurtful. It's really, really hurtful. That feeling when there's something that's bothering you about someone, and you have a gut feeling that it's not worth telling them because they don't see the friendship the way you do, is so hard. Yes, Raylene. Raylene, get out of my head. It's true. It's so hard. And there's a part of you that wants to because you want, like, closure, I guess. I don't really know what I'm seeking from it, but I want something from it. And I just, I fight with myself all the time on whether or not I should have that conversation. Not because I'm going through that right now. Oh no, we're going to talk about it, really. Don't you worry. We're going to talk about it. I'm also very proud of myself for using gender neutral pronouns when speaking about this person, because now y'all don't know who it is. Anyways, I'll probably talk to Spuddy about it. I probably will. I'll probably talk about it in the group chat, honestly, because now it's like at the top of my mind, and I realize I haven't spoken to anybody about it. So I probably will, just not on stream, because streams can be rewatched, you know. Spuddy says, I blame it on being an empath. Sometimes their representative speaks up more than their true self, and I don't know how to not see closure or understanding. I feel that. Raylene says, but I've decided if there's something holding you back, it's probably not worth saying. I feel that too. I feel that. I feel all of that. All right, my loves. We are going to wrap up today's stream. I got to make sure that my son is ready for school in about 30 minutes. I needed this chat today, for real, says Fergie. I appreciate you, Fergie. I'm so glad this has been beneficial. Please, y'all, if you're watching this stream on Twitch, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you're watching this replay on YouTube and you've made it to the end, I love you and I appreciate you. Please subscribe. Once again, all of my streams pretty much play like a podcast. Put me on in the background. I need the watch hours so I can start monetizing. So I can't tell. Anyways, I love all of you. Spuddy, I'm about to hop in our group chat and say some things. Thank you for the YouTube drop. Raylene, good you realized that was bothering you, and I hope it goes well talking about it. Thank you, and thank you for dropping my shop link, Spuddy. There's my YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. There's my shop link. If you haven't bought something, please do so. Everything that you see, all the items that you see in my shop right now, not my camera all of a sudden getting out of focus. There we go. All the items that are in my shop right now are only going to be available until January 31st. So if you see something that you like, get it, because it ain't going to be there February 1st. Subscribe and purchase that merch. Yes. All right. I love you all. Have a beautiful day. I will see you tomorrow. Bye.